She took in a little girl for a few days until she discovered whose daughter she was. Rebecca Thompson was finishing tidying up the apartment when there was a knock at the door with an urgency that made her drop everything. She wasn't expecting visitors on that rainy March Tuesday, especially at 7 in the morning. When she opened the door, she found a girl of about 5 years old, soaking wet, holding only a small backpack and a faded teddy bear. The child was shaking so much she could barely speak. It was then that Rebecca noticed someone had rung the bell and run off, leaving the girl there all alone. Tears streamed down the child's face as she murmured something about her mommy promising to come back soon. "Hi, sweetie. What's your name?" Rebecca crouched down to the girl's level, trying to project calm despite her own confusion. "I'm Lily," the child replied between sobs. "Mommy said I had to stay with the nice lady until she got back from the doctor." Rebecca looked down the building's hallways, hoping to see someone, but it was completely empty. The girl seemed to know her, but she was sure she had never seen that child before. She had lived alone in the apartment since moving to Chicago 2 years ago, working as an administrative assistant at a small company downtown. "Lily, do you know my name? Do you know who I am?" she asked, still crouched down. The girl nodded and pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her backpack. It was a handwritten note in slightly shaky writing. "Please take care of Lily until I return. I know you are a good person. Thank you. M." Rebecca's heart raced. Who was this person M who knew where she lived and was so sure she would take care of a strange child? She looked at Lily again, who was now taking off a small golden heart-shaped pendant from around her neck. "Mommy said that when I got scared, I should hold Grandma's heart," the girl explained, clutching the pendant to her chest. Rebecca felt a chill. That pendant was identical to the one she wore herself, an inheritance from the grandmother who had raised her and her sister. But it had to be a coincidence. Pendants like that were common, especially older ones. She couldn't leave a child in the hallway. She invited Lily inside, promising herself she would call the neighbors to try and figure out what had happened. The girl stepped in slowly, observing everything with big, curious eyes. "Would you like something to eat or drink?" Rebecca offered, still trying to process the situation. "Mommy said I shouldn't be any trouble," Lily replied, hugging her teddy bear. "But I am a little bit hungry." While making a sandwich and a glass of milk, Rebecca discreetly watched the girl. Lily had honey-colored curly hair, light brown skin, and very expressive brown eyes. There was something familiar about her, but Rebecca couldn't pinpoint what it was. "Lily, do you remember where your home is or your mommy's full name?" The girl shook her head no while taking a bite of her sandwich. "Mommy said it was a secret, that I could only tell when she came back." This was getting stranger and stranger. Rebecca decided that after breakfast, she would try to understand the situation better. Maybe by talking calmly, the girl would remember more details. But as the hours passed, Lily seemed to feel more and more at home in the apartment. She knew the TV shows Rebecca liked. She knew where the bathroom was without having to ask. And she even chose the exact same fruit Rebecca usually ate for her afternoon snack. "How did you know I like green apples?" Rebecca asked, intrigued. "Mommy said you liked them," Lily replied simply, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. During bath time, Rebecca discovered that the girl's clothes were wet, not only from the rain, but also because she had peed from nervousness. While helping Lily get cleaned up, she noticed a small birthmark on the child's left shoulder. A crescent moon-shaped mark, very small, almost unnoticeable. Rebecca's blood ran cold. She had the exact same mark, in the exact same place. Her sister had it too. Their grandmother always said it was the family mark, that all the women in the lineage were born with it. But that was impossible. Rebecca didn't have any children, and her sister Melissa had disappeared 6 years ago after a terrible argument. At the time, Melissa was involved with drugs and a boyfriend the family didn't approve of. The last time they spoke, Melissa had said horrible things and promised she would never come back. The note was signed with an M, Melissa. But if Lily was Melissa's daughter, that meant she was her niece, a niece she never knew existed. That night, after Lily fell asleep on the living room sofa, Rebecca couldn't sleep a wink. She stayed up watching the girl sleep, looking for similarities. Now that she suspected the truth, she saw Melissa in every feature of Lily's face. The shape of her eyes, the way she scrunched her nose, even the way she slept on her side hugging her toy. The next day, Rebecca tried a different approach. "Lily, do you have any aunts or grandparents?" "I had Grandma Dorothy, but she went to live in heaven," the girl replied. "And there's an aunt that Mommy talked about a lot, but they had a fight and don't talk anymore." Dorothy was their grandmother's name, and Rebecca knew exactly which fight Lily was talking about. "What's that aunt's name?" "Aunt Becky," said Lily, and Rebecca's world collapsed. Becky was what Melissa had called her since they were little. Only she used that nickname. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out as we're just getting started. Now continuing. Rebecca needed air. She went out to the apartment balcony, leaving Lily watching television, and tried to process everything. Her sister had had a daughter, and for some reason had left the child with her. But why? And where was Melissa now? When she returned to the living room, she found Lily playing with the pendant, humming a song that Rebecca recognized immediately. It was a song their grandmother used to sing to them when they were little, a song only the family knew. "Who taught you that song?" "Mommy used to sing it to me to help me sleep," Lily replied. "She said Grandma Dorothy sang it to her when she was little." There was no more doubt. Lily was her niece, but why had Melissa disappeared again? And why leave her daughter like this without any explanation? Rebecca decided to investigate. She started by calling neighbors, asking if anyone had seen who brought the girl. Mrs. Martha from the next apartment said she saw a very thin woman going up the stairs in the early morning, but it was dark and she couldn't see her face. "The woman seemed sick, you know. She walked slowly like she was weak," the neighbor recounted. That increased Rebecca's worry. If Melissa was sick, maybe that's why she had left Lily with her. But why not explain the situation? Why all this mystery? On the third day, Rebecca decided to take Lily for a walk in the park near home. The girl was excited, but when they got there, she ran straight to a specific bench, as if she knew the place. "Mommy brought me here before," Lily explained. "She sat on that bench and cried a lot." Rebecca felt her heart tighten. Melissa had been there, watching her life from a distance. She had probably been observing Rebecca's routine for some time, planning to leave Lily with her. "When did your mummy bring you here?" "Many suns ago," replied Lily, who still didn't know how to count the days properly. "She said she wanted to show me where Aunt Becky lived, so I wouldn't be scared when I came to stay here." So Melissa had planned everything. She knew Rebecca's routine, knew where she lived, had even prepared Lily to stay with her. But why? That afternoon, while Lily slept, Rebecca searched the girl's backpack for more clues. Besides the simple clothes and the teddy bear, there was just one more piece of paper hidden at the bottom. It was an old photo, faded and crumpled. In the picture, two little girls were playing in a backyard. One was about 8 years old, the other about 5. Rebecca recognized them immediately. It was her and Melissa at their grandmother's house. On the back of the photo, written in Melissa's childish handwriting, was, "Becky and me forever." The tears came without warning. Melissa had kept that photo all these years they were apart. Even after the fight, even after cutting contact with the family, she had held on to that childhood memory. Rebecca looked at Lily sleeping and understood that her sister had done what she thought was best for her daughter, leaving the girl with someone she trusted, someone she loved even though they were fighting. But she still didn't understand why Melissa hadn't stayed too. Why leave her daughter and go away? The answer came on the 4th day. Rebecca was making lunch when the doorbell rang. Her heart raced, thinking it might be Melissa coming back for Lily. But when she opened the door, she found a woman around 50 years old, very well dressed, with a severe air. "Good afternoon. I'm looking for a child who may be in this apartment," said the woman, trying to look inside. "Excuse me, who are you?" "I'm a social worker. We received a report that there's a little girl being kept here irregularly." Rebecca's world collapsed. Someone had reported the situation. If she couldn't prove she had permission to care for Lily, the girl would be taken to a shelter. "The child is well cared for," said Rebecca, trying to stay calm. I'm a relative of hers. You'll need to prove that. And where are the legal guardians? At that moment, Lily appeared behind Rebecca, hugging the teddy bear and looking frightened at the strange woman. Aunt Becky, who is she? The girl asked, hiding behind Rebecca's legs. The social worker noticed how Lily protected herself behind Rebecca and how comfortable she seemed in the apartment, but still, she had to follow protocol. I'll need to speak with the child and inspect the living conditions, she said, entering the apartment without waiting for an invitation. Rebecca felt unprotected. She had no documents proving her relationship to Lily, no legal permission to care for her. If the social worker decided to, she could take the girl away right then and there. While the woman inspected the apartment and spoke with Lily, Rebecca tried to think of a solution. She needed to find Melissa urgently. Only she could give legal permission for Rebecca to care for Lily. The child is well cared for and appears to be safe here, the social worker acknowledged after the inspection. But without proper documentation, I can't leave her. I'll give you 48 hours to sort out the situation. If you can't, I'll have to take the girl to a temporary shelter. After the woman left, Rebecca explained to Lily in simple terms that they needed to find her mum urgently. Mummy said, if someone tried to take me, I should show them this, said Lily, pulling a small sealed envelope from inside her shirt. Rebecca opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a note in Melissa's handwriting and an address. Becky, if you're reading this, it's because someone found out about Lily. I'm at the address written here. Please come. I need to explain everything. I need your help to take care of her. Melissa. The address was for a house in the Wicker Park neighborhood, about an hour by bus from Rebecca's apartment. She picked up Lily, quickly packed a bag with some belongings, and they headed toward the address. During the trip, Rebecca tried to imagine what she would find. Would Melissa be sick? In danger? Why all this mystery? The house at the address was simple, on a narrow, somewhat hidden alley. Rebecca rang the doorbell with her heart racing. Lily held her hand tightly, also anxious. The door opened, and Rebecca barely recognized the woman standing there. Melissa was very thin, with a gaunt face and deep dark circles under her eyes. She seemed to have aged 10 years in the 6 they had been apart. Melissa, whispered Rebecca, shocked by her sister's appearance. Becky. Melissa began to cry before she even finished speaking. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking care of her. Lily let go of Rebecca's hand and ran to hug her mother. Mommy, I was a good girl. Aunt Becky took good care of me. Melissa hugged her daughter desperately, as if she hadn't seen her in years, not just 4 days. Why did you do this? Asked Rebecca. Why didn't you come to me directly? Why disappear like this? Melissa invited them in. The house was small but clean and tidy. There were Lily's toys scattered around the living room and pictures of the girl on the walls. Please sit down. I need to tell you everything, said Melissa, settling Lily on the sofa with a coloring book. And then Melissa began to tell her story. After the fight with the family, she had indeed disappeared. She lived on the streets for a few months, involved with drugs and dangerous people. That's when she found out she was pregnant. The shock was so great that she decided to turn her life around. She got a job with a family working as a live-in housekeeper. The lady of the house was an elderly, kind woman who, upon learning of the pregnancy, offered help. Melissa was able to have the baby and continue working, raising Lily in that house. For 3 years, life was peaceful. Lily grew up surrounded by affection, both from her mother and the elderly employer. Melissa had found stability and peace. But 2 years ago, the employer passed away. Her children sold the house, and Melissa found herself on the street again, now with a young child to care for. I tried to get another job, but it's hard when you have a child and no one to leave her with, explained Melissa, her voice choked up. I started doing odd cleaning jobs, whatever I could to support Lily. Rebecca listened in silence, her heart aching as she imagined the difficulties her sister had faced. But why didn't you come to me? I would have helped. I was proud, Becky, and ashamed. Ashamed of everything I said to you during our fight. Ashamed of showing up needing help after I said I never wanted to see you all again. Melissa said that in recent months she had started feeling very sick. Constant pain, weakness, fainting spells. When she finally managed to see a doctor at the health clinic, She found out she had severe anemia and other health complications. The doctor said I needed rest, better food, expensive medicine. How was I going to do that while couch surfing without even enough money to eat properly? It was then that Melissa made the most difficult decision of her life, to leave Lily temporarily with Rebecca while she got treatment. "I've been watching you for weeks," she confessed. "I knew your routine. I knew you were a good person, that you would take good care of her, but I was terrified that you would reject me, that you wouldn't want anything to do with Lily because of our fight." "So you decided to just leave her on my doorstep?" asked Rebecca, still processing everything. "I thought that if I left her with you first, you wouldn't have the heart to refuse to care for a child, and then I would show up to explain everything." The plan had worked to some extent. Rebecca had indeed taken good care of Lily, but the report to Child Protective Services had sped everything up. "Who made the report?" asked Rebecca. "Probably one of your neighbors, or from around here. People get suspicious when they see a child appear out of nowhere." Rebecca told her about the social worker's visit and the 48-hour deadline to sort out the situation. "We have to fix this together," said Rebecca. "Lily needs stability, and you need to get treatment." Melissa started crying again. "I don't even have money for a lawyer. I don't know how to do all this legal stuff. I'm scared they'll take Lily away from me." Rebecca held her sister's hands. "You're not alone anymore. We'll figure this out together." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. That night, the two sisters talked late into the night, planning their next steps. Melissa needed urgent medical treatment, but she also needed documents proving that Rebecca could take care of Lily. Rebecca suggested that Melissa sign a power of attorney giving her temporary permission to care for the girl. It wasn't ideal, but it might satisfy the social worker. The next day, they went together to the notary public. Melissa was visibly weak, needing to lean on Rebecca to walk. Lily held both their hands, happy to be with her mom and aunt. At the notary's office, they got a surprise. The notary, a man in his 60s, recognized their last name. "Thompson? Are you related to Dorothy Thompson?" "She was our grandmother," replied Rebecca. "I knew your grandmother. A wonderful woman. She used to bring you two here all the time when you were little. You look a lot like her." The notary was especially attentive, helping them sort out all the necessary paperwork. Besides the power of attorney, he suggested they start the process to formalize the shared custody of Lily. "It's better to have everything sorted out legally. That way no one can question it," he explained. When they left the notary's office, Melissa fainted on the sidewalk. Rebecca picked Lily up and called a taxi to take her sister to the hospital. In the emergency room, the doctors confirmed what Melissa already knew. She had severe anemia, malnutrition, and other problems stemming from stress and poor diet. She would need to be hospitalized for a few days. "Lily can't see me like this," said Melissa from the hospital gurney. "She'll be scared." Rebecca took the girl home, promising they would come back to visit her mother the next day. On the way back to the apartment, Lily was quiet and thoughtful. "Aunt Becky, is Mommy going to be okay?" "Yes, sweetheart. The doctors are going to take good care of her, and we're going to take good care of Mommy too. Can I stay with you until she gets better?" "Of course you can. In fact, you can stay with me whenever you want, even after Mommy gets better." Lily smiled for the first time that day. "So I'll have two homes, one with you and one with Mommy. Maybe. We'll see what's best for you." On the scheduled day, the social worker returned to Rebecca's apartment. This time she brought all the documentation, the power of attorney, the hospital papers proving Melissa's health condition, and even a letter from Melissa's former employer, whom Rebecca had managed to contact through old neighbors, stating that she was a caring and responsible mother. The social worker was satisfied with the documentation and the explanation of the situation. "I will maintain monthly follow-ups until the custody is definitively settled in court," she said. "But you can rest easy. The child is well cared for and the situation is regularized." After the woman left, Rebecca felt relieved. The first obstacle had been overcome. During the 2 weeks Melissa was hospitalized, Rebecca and Lily established a routine. In the morning, they would visit Melissa at the hospital. In the afternoon, Lily would play while Rebecca worked from home. She had negotiated with her boss to work remotely temporarily. In the evening, they would talk, watch television, or Rebecca would read stories to the girl. Lily adapted quickly to life in the apartment. She was an intelligent and affectionate child, always ready to help and never caused any trouble. Rebecca discovered that she loved being an aunt, and even more she loved having a family again. When Melissa was discharged from the hospital, a new question arose. Where would she live? The house in Wicker Park was rented, and Melissa had no money to continue paying for it, especially now that she would need expensive medication and regular doctor's appointments. "Come live with me," proposed Rebecca. "The apartment has 2 bedrooms. You can have my room and I'll sleep in the living room, or we can find another bigger apartment." Melissa hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden to you, Becky. You've already done so much for us." "You're not a burden. You're my sister, and Lily needs both of us." But there was a complication. Rebecca's apartment had only 2 small bedrooms, and she couldn't afford to rent a bigger place on her own. It was Lily who provided the solution, with the simplicity of children. "Why doesn't Mommy get a job and you two pay for the new house together?" And that's exactly what they did. Melissa, still recovering but feeling much better, got a part-time job at a children's clothing store near Rebecca's apartment. The store owner, a kind elderly man, was moved by her story and offered flexible hours so she could get treatment and take care of Lily. Rebecca got a raise at work after explaining the situation to her boss. The raise wasn't large, but combined with Melissa's salary, they managed to rent a 3-bedroom apartment in the same neighborhood. The move happened 1 month after Melissa was discharged. Lily was thrilled with her own room and the idea of having her mother and aunt living in the same house. "Now I have a real family," she said on moving day. But the adjustment wasn't easy. Melissa and Rebecca had grown used to living alone for years. Now they needed to relearn how to share space, decisions, and responsibilities. The first few weeks were tense. Melissa still felt guilty for having left Lily with Rebecca and tried to compensate by being overly permissive with her daughter. Rebecca, who had grown accustomed to caring for Lily in a more structured way, became frustrated when Melissa undid her rules. "You're not her mother," Melissa said in a moment of stress. "You can't just decide everything by yourself. And you can't just show up and undo everything I've built with her," Rebecca retorted. The argument happened in the kitchen while Lily was in her room, but the walls were thin and the girl heard everything. When the two realized Lily had heard, they found the girl crying in her room, hugging her teddy bear. "Are you going to fight again?" asked Lily between sobs. "Is it going to be like last time?" Melissa and Rebecca looked at each other and understood they were making the same mistake from the past. They were fighting instead of talking. That night, after Lily fell asleep, the 2 sisters talked honestly for the first time in years. "I'm afraid I'm not a good enough mother," confessed Melissa. "When I see how well cared for Lily is with you, I get scared that she'll prefer you. And I'm afraid I'm overstepping your role as a mother," admitted Rebecca. "Sometimes I forget she's not my daughter." "But she can be our daughter, can't she?" suggested Melissa. "I mean, my daughter and your dear niece, it doesn't have to be one or the other." From that conversation on, the 2 began working together instead of competing. They established clear rules about who decided what, but always talked things through between them. Melissa handled Melissa's medical and school matters. Rebecca was responsible for the daily routine and activities. Important decisions were made together. The strategy worked. Lily flourished in that environment of love and cooperation. She had the security of having her mother nearby, but also the structure and care that Rebecca provided. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. 6 months after the move, life had found a good rhythm. Melissa had completely recovered from the anemia and had been promoted at the store. Rebecca had gotten a new job with a better salary and more benefits. Lily was enrolled in a public school near home and was doing very well. But it was precisely when everything seemed to be going well that a new problem arose. One day Rebecca came home from work and found Melissa crying in the kitchen with a letter in her hand. "What happened?" she asked, alarmed. "It's from Lily's father," said Melissa, holding out the letter. "He found out where we are." Rebecca's world collapsed. Melissa had never spoken about Lily's father. She knew her sister had dated a troubled man around the time of the family fight, but she didn't know he was the girl's father. "How did he find out?" "I don't know. He hasn't shown up for years. I thought he had forgotten about us." In the letter, the man said he had rights to his daughter and that he wanted to meet her. He gave Melissa a week to get in touch, otherwise he would go after lawyers. "Rebecca, I'm so scared," Melissa confessed. "You don't know this man. He's violent, controlling. He's the reason I got into drugs." "Did he hit you?" "Not physically, but psychologically. He destroyed me from the inside. He said I was no good, that I was stupid, that I would never amount to anything in life. When I found out I was pregnant, I knew I had to run away from him." Rebecca understood why Melissa had disappeared so completely years ago. She wasn't just running away from the family after the fight, she was running away from an abusive relationship. Does he know Lily exists? He knows, but he was never interested in her. He said he didn't want any kids, that if I wanted to have one, it was my problem. Then why is he showing up now? Melissa shook her head, confused. "I don't know. Maybe because he found out we're doing well now, or maybe because he wants to control me again." Lily came home from school at that moment, interrupting the conversation. The two sisters hid their despair, but the girl, who was very smart, sensed something was wrong. "Why do you look sad?" asked Lily. "It's nothing, sweetie, just adult stuff," said Melissa, forcing a smile. But that night, Lily couldn't sleep. She appeared in their room. They had decided to share the larger bedroom, saying she was having nightmares. "It's about the bad man, isn't it?" asked Lily, hugging her teddy bear. "I heard you talking about a letter." Melissa and Rebecca exchanged looks. How do you explain to a 5-year-old that her biological father wanted to come into their lives? "Lily, do you remember any man who lived with you and Mommy?" Rebecca asked gently. The girl shook her head. "It was always just me and Mommy, and Grandma Eleanor, who took care of us in the big house." Melissa sighed, relieved. Lily had no memories of her father, which was good. It meant she had managed to protect her daughter from him completely. The next day, Melissa called the number on the letter. The conversation was tense and aggressive. The man, who was named Ryan, demanded to see his daughter and threatened to go to court if Melissa didn't allow it. "You can't keep me from seeing my daughter," he shouted over the phone. "You never cared about her. You said you didn't want to have children," Melissa shouted back. "I changed my mind. I have rights." When Melissa hung up the phone, she was trembling. "He's coming here tomorrow," she said to Rebecca. "He said if I don't let him see Lily, he'll file for custody." "Can he do that?" "I don't know. Legally, he's the father. He's on the birth certificate." Rebecca had an idea. "Let's find a lawyer. You need to know what our rights are in this situation." They managed to get an appointment for that same afternoon with a lawyer who specialized in family law. The office was simple, but the lawyer, Mr. Patterson, was very attentive. After listening to the whole story, he got straight to the point. If he is registered as the father, he does have rights regarding the child. But that doesn't mean he can just show up and take the girl. A judge will always consider the child's best interests. "And what is considered best interests?" asked Rebecca. "Stability, emotional security, adequate living conditions. From what you've told me, the child is well adjusted to her current life. That counts for a lot." Mr. Patterson explained that, even with legal rights, the father couldn't have immediate access to the child. A process of gradual introduction would be necessary, accompanied by psychologists if it was in the child's best interest. But you need to understand that he can indeed file a lawsuit, and depending on his financial situation, that could complicate things. Melissa told him that Ryan came from a wealthy family. His father owned several stores in the area. "That could be a problem," the lawyer admitted. "Good lawyers are expensive, but not impossible to face." They agreed that Mr. Patterson would be present at the meeting the next day as Melissa's legal representative. That night, Melissa barely slept. Rebecca didn't either. They were both afraid of what Ryan might do, especially if he found out how well cared for and happy Lily was. He might want to take the girl out of pure spite. The next morning, Rebecca took Lily to spend the day at the house of their neighbor, Mrs. Martha. She explained that she had an important meeting and that the girl would be more comfortable playing with the woman's grandchildren. Ryan arrived promptly at the scheduled time. Rebecca saw him from the window and froze. He was a man of about 35, well-dressed, with the look of someone who was used to getting what he wanted. Melissa opened the door, accompanied by Mr. Patterson. Ryan wasn't expecting to find a lawyer there. "Who is this?" he asked, already agitated. "My legal representative," replied Melissa, trying to keep her voice steady. The conversation started off tense and only got worse. Ryan demanded to see Lily immediately, saying he had already lost too much time away from his daughter. Melissa tried to explain that the girl didn't know him and that a sudden approach could traumatize her. "Trauma is growing up without a father," shouted Ryan. "You took that from me, Melissa. You ran away and took my daughter." "You said you didn't want children," Melissa shot back. "You said if I wanted to have the baby, it was my problem." "I was nervous. Every man gets nervous when he finds out he's going to be a father for the first time." Mr. Patterson intervened, trying to calm things down. "Mr. Ryan, we understand your position, but we need to think about the child's well-being. She is 5 years old and has never had a relationship with you. An introduction needs to be gradual." "Gradual, nothing. I want to see my daughter today." It was then that Rebecca decided to join the conversation. "And what do you plan to do after you see her?" she asked, coming out of the room where she had been listening to everything. Ryan looked her up and down, as if assessing a threat. "Who are you?" "I'm Melissa's sister. And I've been one of the people responsible for taking care of Lily." "Oh, really? And who said you could?" "I didn't authorize anyone to take care of my daughter. His arrogance was unbearable." Rebecca felt her blood boil, but she tried to stay calm. "Do you actually want what's best for Lily? Or do you just want to bother Melissa? I want my daughter back, and I want both of you out of her life." There it was, the truth. Ryan didn't want a healthy relationship with his daughter. He wanted to take Lily away from Melissa out of revenge. Mr. Patterson took note of everything that was said and explained that without a court order, Ryan could not take the child. He left furious, promising to return with lawyers. After he left, Melissa broke down in tears. "He's going to take Lily away from me. I know he will," she sobbed. "He has money, good lawyers, and I have nothing." "You have the truth," said Rebecca. "And you have the stability you've built for Lily. That counts for a lot." Mr. Patterson agreed. "Cases like this are difficult but not impossible. We will document everything. The life the child has now, the father's emotional abandonment, the history of an abusive relationship. All of this will be considered by the judge." In the following days, life turned upside down. Ryan filed a lawsuit asking for custody of Lily, claiming that Melissa was an irresponsible mother who had run away with the child. Worse, he had hired a private detective who discovered every detail of their lives. He knew about the period when Melissa had used drugs, about the hospitalization, about the fact that Rebecca had initially stayed to care for Lily without legal authorization. In the lawsuit, Ryan painted a terrible picture. He said Melissa was an addict, unstable, that she had abandoned her daughter with a stranger. He said that he, as the father, was in a much better position to raise the girl. "That's a lie." Melissa was outraged when she read the papers. "I never abandoned Lily. I left her with you because I trust you." "I know it's a lie," said Rebecca, "but we have to prove it to the judge." Mr. Patterson built a solid defense. He got statements from Melissa's former employer testifying that she was a caring mother. He obtained medical reports proving the hospitalization was for physical health problems, not mental ones. He got statements from neighbors, from Lily's teacher, from everyone who interacted with them. But the hardest part was explaining the situation to Lily. The girl knew something was happening. She saw her mother and aunt worried, talking quietly, receiving papers. Until one day she asked directly, "Mommy, why is everyone sad? Did we do something wrong?" Melissa knelt down to be at her daughter's eye level. "Honey, there's a man who says he's your daddy and wants to meet you." "I have a daddy?" asked Lily, confused. "Yes, you do. But he never lived with us. And now he wants you to go live with him." Lily looked at Melissa, then at Rebecca, then back at Melissa. But I don't want to go live with him. I want to stay here with you. And you will stay, honey. No one is going to take you away from here. But Melissa wasn't sure she could keep that promise. The first hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. In the meantime, the judge ordered that a court psychologist would visit the home where Lily lived and talk with her. The psychologist, Dr. Wilson, was a middle-aged woman, very kind. She spent an entire afternoon at the house, observing the interaction between Lily, Melissa, and Rebecca. She asked Lily simple questions about her routine, what she liked to do, who she felt safe with. The girl answered everything naturally, showing how comfortable she felt at home. "Who do you like to play with the most?" asked the psychologist. "With Mommy and Aunt Becky," replied Lily. "Sometimes Aunt Becky teaches me how to cook, and Mommy reads me stories before bed." "And if you had to live with just one person, who would it be?" Lily became thoughtful. "But why would I have to choose? They both take care of me together." The answer showed how Lily saw the situation. She didn't understand why she would have to give up someone who loved her. After talking with Lily, Dr. Wilson spoke separately with Melissa and Rebecca. "You have a very interesting family structure," she commented. "It's rare to see this type of cooperation between sisters." She explained that Lily's adaptation seemed excellent and that the girl showed clear signs of feeling safe and loved. "And about the father? Has the child never asked about him?" "She asked sometimes, but without insisting," replied Melissa. "I always said that her daddy was far away, but that she had a lot of love here at home." "And how did she react when she found out he wanted to meet her?" "She was confused. She doesn't understand why someone who was never present suddenly wants her to go live with him." Dr. Wilson wrote everything down carefully. "And you, how do you feel about a possible gradual approach between father and daughter?" Melissa and Rebecca looked at each other. "If it were for Lily's good, we would support it," said Rebecca. "But we don't trust his intentions." "Why?" Melissa told her about the abusive relationship, about how Ryan had initially rejected the pregnancy, about the aggressive way he showed up demanding rights. "He doesn't seem like someone interested in the child's well-being," concluded Melissa. "He seems like someone interested in causing problems for me." When Dr. Wilson left, the two sisters were apprehensive. They had no idea if the evaluation had been positive or negative. The answer came a week later on the day of the hearing. The courthouse was full that morning. Melissa, Rebecca, and Mr. Patterson arrived early and found Ryan already there, accompanied by a well-dressed and apparently experienced lawyer. The judge, Judge Williams, was a man of about 50 with a serious but not threatening face. He read the entire case file before starting to hear the parties. First, he heard Ryan. He repeated all the claims from the lawsuit, that Melissa was irresponsible, that she had run away with their daughter, that he was in a better position to raise the girl. "Mr. Ryan," asked the judge, "can you explain why you never looked for your daughter before?" "I didn't know where they were. Melissa disappeared without a trace." "But did you actually look for her? Did you file a police report? Hire detectives?" Ryan hesitated. "I thought she would come back, and I was busy building my professional life." "For 5 years?" "Yeah, time flew by." The judge didn't seem convinced. Then it was Melissa's turn. She told her version of the facts, explaining why she had disappeared and how she had built a stable life for her daughter. "Can you explain why you left the child with your sister without notifying the authorities?" Melissa explained about her hospitalization, about her fear that Lily would be sent to a shelter, about the trust she had in Rebecca. "I knew my sister would take good care of her, and I was afraid that if I died in the hospital, no one would know where to find her family." The judge also heard Rebecca, who explained how she had cared for Lily during Melissa's hospitalization and how they had structured their family life afterwards. But the most important moment was when the judge read the psychologist's report. Dr. Wilson had been very clear. Lily was well adapted to her current life, showed signs of emotional security, and had solid emotional bonds with her mother and aunt. The family structure was atypical, but functional and healthy. Regarding Ryan, she noted that the child showed no interest or curiosity when his name was mentioned, and became visibly anxious when questioned about the possibility of living with him. "Considering all the facts presented," said the judge, "this court rules that custody of the minor Lily will remain with the mother, Melissa Thompson." Melissa almost fainted with relief, but the judge hadn't finished. However, he continued, Mr. Ryan has visitation rights. These visits will initially be supervised once a week at a neutral location for a period of 3 months. After that period, we will reassess the situation. Melissa's heart raced again. Supervised visits meant Ryan would have access to Lily, even if in a controlled way. I want to make it clear, said the judge, looking directly at Ryan, that any attempt to manipulate, frighten or coerce the child will result in the immediate suspension of the visits. Ryan did not seem pleased with the decision, but his lawyer calmed him down. At least he had gotten some kind of access to his daughter. When they left the courthouse, Melissa was torn between the relief of keeping custody and the fear of the visits. And now? She asked Mr. Patterson. Now you prepare for the visits, and you hope he gives up when he realizes the child has no emotional bond with him. But Ryan didn't give up. At the first supervised visit, he showed up with expensive gifts and tried to win Lily over with toys and candy. The girl was polite, but distant. She showed no enthusiasm for the gifts and kept asking when she could go back home. On the second visit, Ryan tried a more emotional approach, talking about how he was her father and how he wanted to get to know her better. Lily listened to him in silence and then asked, "Why did you never come to see me before?" Ryan didn't know what to say. On the third visit, he lost his patience when Lily said she wanted to leave after just 15 minutes. "You have to stay here. I am your father," he shouted. Lily started to cry and asked for her mother. The supervisor ended the visit immediately and filed a report about the incident. In the following visits, Ryan tried to control himself, but it was evident he was frustrated. Lily wasn't bonding with him. She didn't show affection. She didn't call him Dad. For the girl, those visits were just a boring obligation that took her away from the routine she liked. After 2 months of supervised visits, Dr. Wilson conducted a new evaluation. Her report was clear. There was no progress in the relationship between father and daughter. Lily showed no signs of developing an emotional bond with Ryan and was visibly stressed on the days of the visits. Based on this report, the judge made a decision. The visits will be reduced to once a month. If there is no progress in the relationship within another 3 months, they will be suspended. Ryan was furious, but there wasn't much he could do. His own behavior during the visits was working against him. It was during the last supervised visit that Lily finally said what she thought. Ryan had tried to convince her to ask the judge to let her spend a weekend with him. "I don't want to," Lily said simply. "Why?" "I am your father." "A father isn't just who makes a child," replied Lily, repeating something she had certainly heard from an adult. "A father is who takes care of you." "And who takes care of you?" "Mommy and Aunt Becky. I can take care of you too." Lily looked at him with the frankness of children. "You don't even know what I like. You don't know what music I like to listen to when I go to sleep. You don't know that I'm afraid of the dark. You don't know that I don't like playing with dolls. I like toy cars." "How are you going to take care of me?" Ryan had no answer. That was the last visit. The following month, Ryan didn't show up. His lawyer informed the court that he was giving up his visitation rights. For Lily, it was a relief. For Melissa and Rebecca, it was the feeling that they could finally live in peace. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. 3 months after the visits ended, Mr. Patterson called Melissa with unexpected news. "Ryan wants to completely give up his parental rights," he announced. "He's willing to sign the papers so someone else can adopt Lily." Melissa was silent for a few seconds, processing the information. "Is he asking for anything in return?" "No. From what I understand, he's convinced himself that he'll never be able to build a relationship with the girl. And apparently he's dating a woman who also doesn't want the child in their lives." "And what does this mean for us?" "It means that if you want, Rebecca can legally adopt Lily. She would be Melissa's biological daughter and Rebecca's legal daughter. The two of you would be official mothers." When Melissa told Rebecca the news, they were both emotional. "Do you want this?" asked Melissa. "Do you want to officially adopt Lily?" "Of course I do," replied Rebecca, with tears in her eyes. She's already my daughter in my heart. This would just make it official. But it's a huge responsibility. If one day you want to build your own family, Melissa, this is my family. The two of you are my family. They decided to talk to Lily before making any official decision. Lily, would you like Aunt Becky to officially become your second mommy? Asked Melissa. The girl didn't hesitate. Isn't she already? I thought she was already my second mommy. For Lily, the adoption wouldn't change anything in practice. She already considered Rebecca a mother. But for Melissa and Rebecca, it meant the legal security that nothing and no one could separate them again. The adoption process was quick and smooth. Ryan signed all the necessary papers without making any demands. In less than 2 months, Rebecca was officially Lily's adoptive mother. On the day they received the final documents, they had a small party at home. Lily got a new birth certificate, which listed Melissa Thompson and Rebecca Thompson as mothers. Now I have 2 official mommies, celebrated Lily, showing the document to all the neighbors. Mrs. Martha, who had followed the whole saga from the beginning, made a cake to celebrate. That girl found the perfect family for her, said the neighbor emotionally. But perhaps the most touching moment was when Lily, in her spontaneous, childlike way, asked a question. Mommy Melissa and Mommy Becky, when you were little, did you play house? We did, replied Melissa. And were you sisters in the game, or was one the mother of the other? We were sisters, said Rebecca. So now you're playing at being real sister mothers, concluded Lily, finding the situation very funny. And in a way she was right. Melissa and Rebecca had found a unique way to be a family. It wasn't the traditional model, but it worked perfectly for them. 1 year after the adoption, life had found a perfect rhythm. Melissa had been promoted again at the store and was taking a technical management course at night. Rebecca had gotten a better job at a company that valued responsible and dedicated employees. Lily was in the 1st grade and was one of the best students in her class. She had inherited Melissa's intelligence and Rebecca's organizational skills, creating a perfect combination. The 2 sisters had learned to share not only the responsibilities, but also the joys of motherhood. When Lily had a presentation at school, they were both there watching. When she got sick, they took turns caring for her. When she won first prize in a drawing contest, they celebrated as if they had won the lottery. Do you think when I grow up, I'll have to choose which one of you to live with? Lily asked one day out of the blue. Why do you think that? Asked Melissa. Because Chloe from school said that when parents get divorced, the kids have to choose who to live with. Melissa and Rebecca looked at each other and smiled. But we're not married, sweetie. We're sisters, explained Rebecca. Sisters don't split up. Oh, said Lily, relieved. So I get to stay with both of you forever? Forever, they promised in unison, and it was a promise they intended to keep. 2 years later, when Lily turned 8, they moved into a small house with a backyard. Lily wanted a dog, and they finally had the space for one. The dog, an affectionate mutt they adopted from a shelter, was named Courage, because according to Lily, it took a lot of courage for them to become a family. At Lily's birthday party that year, she asked to make a speech. I want to thank you for having 2 mothers who love each other and love me. Some friends from school only have one mom or one dad. Others have both, but they fight. I have 2 mothers who are sisters and who take care of me together. I think I'm the luckiest kid in the world. Melissa and Rebecca cried with emotion. That night, after Lily fell asleep, the 2 sisters talked on the porch of their new house. Do you regret anything? Asked Melissa. Not a thing, replied Rebecca. And you? Only that it took me so long to come back home. But you came back. And you brought Lily with you. Actually, I think it was Lily who brought us back to each other, Rebecca agreed. Lily had been the gift they didn't know they needed. The little girl had healed a family that was broken and had created something even more beautiful than what existed before. End of story. Now tell me what you thought of this story. Do you believe that family love can overcome any obstacle? Did Melissa and Rebecca make the right decisions by fighting together for custody of Lily? Leave your opinions in the comments with sincere words. We would love to read what you think about this very special family that was formed in such an unexpected way.